Welcome to the Battle of Ohio podcast, where we follow the revival of the historic rivalry between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns.
All right. This is episode 21 of the Battle of Ohio podcast, and I am hyped right now, guys. The Bengals took down the Pittsburgh Steelers in front of a national audience last night, assisting the Browns, who beat the Giants in their quest for the AFC North crown. And my friends, it feels so good to say that the Steelers still suck.
The Steelers indeed suck.
Man, the Steelers.
I've
been saying you and me have been saying all year how overrated the Steelers are, like playing all these bad teams down to the wire. The only teams they really had convincing wins against were, the Bengals and Browns, and that was before the Browns really found their footing. And yeah,
we didn't have Nick Chubb that game.
Blow the Bengals out this year, and then you go and lose to Ryan Finley. Fake ass Steelers.
It's worth noting when Baker Mayfield went for when he completed 22 straight passes against the Bengals. Yeah. Steelers fans laughed at Baker Mayfield. So I just want to say this, Steelers fans. How's 19 yards in the first half feel? Trash has been Roethlisberger looks old.
I mean, there was a point where he was kind of starting to come alive, but I mean, it was definitely not, what you're used to seeing out of the Steelers when especially with the Bengals, the Bengals get these have these things where we think we might have a chance of beating them, and then the Steelers just manage to roll back on top of them, no matter what the situation every single time. We've seen this exact same script every damn game this year. Not every, obviously we won a couple of them, but I mean we've seen it where the Bengals get off to this hot start at the beginning of the game. They have a pretty good either first quarter or first half, and then just completely collapse near the end of the second quarter, and then just have a completely awful third quarter. And that script almost happened again.
Almost.
We didn't give up a score at the end of the second half or at the end of the second quarter, so that helped. But then the Steelers started to roll in the third quarter. I think it got to the point where it was 17-10 at one point, and I was starting. I was already counting I guess it was nice thinking we were going to win this game while it lasted. And that's how painful it has been to be a Bengals fan this year, that we're only up by 7 points, and I'm already counting this game as a loss. That's
man. You were a little pessimistic last night. I was a little scared. I was scared up until Austin Sauber made that field goal to ice the game.
Yeah.
But man, no, the best part of the game though was definitely that hit on Juju.
That was fantastic.
Oh, they are tearing your ass up on the internet, Juju. Man, that man can't go outside for a week.
You know what?
Yeah,
I saw somebody actually made a video. I might have sent it to you, or I might not. But and maybe I'll send it to you after this, and if you can, maybe you can edit it in to show the people on the podcast here. But basically what it was a rip off of Juju's TikTok, where it's got the song going in the background. And it starts off with Juju doing his dance, and then they show the hit from Von Bell where he smacks him, and then the avatar of Juju in that kind of stance just starts sliding across the screen, and it goes past all of his TikTok videos, and it's still playing the song until the end when he's dancing in the Steelers locker room. And it's
there's a lot of videos going around the internet of that dude right now. It's freaking hilarious. I mean, the whole thing about the Steelers, man, they
in Pittsburgh right now as he is in Cincinnati.
The thing about the Pittsburgh fans and the Pittsburgh Steelers all together, man, they've been walking around like this, like they own the AFC North, like this is a cakewalk division, like they're the Patriots playing the AFC East, but they're not, man. You got to respect the Browns, you got to respect the Ravens, and you're going to have to respect the Bengals, because even though they lost to a Bengals team with Ryan Finley. It's not gonna get much easier next year when they play against Joe Burrow. By the way, I called it.
We'll talk about that in a second, but I'll tell you one thing. I can absolutely drink to that idea of, this being so much better when Joe Burrow comes back. Do you got a beer today, Thomas?
Oh yeah, you already know I do. Today I have in honor of both Browns and the Bengals winning this weekend. I don't know if that happened yet this year. I think the one time the Bengals won, the other time the Bengals won, the Browns lost, I think. But I decided to grab a Bud Light Orange because both teams' colors are oranges.
It's the very first beer you had on the podcast.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I need luck too. I need the Steelers to lose next weekend. So let's go.
You got that bottle opener on the keychain. I see that. I used to have something like that, but I lost it. But you know what I do have? I got a bottle opener attached to my wall right there. Pretty spiffy.
That's
Me, I am celebrating with my. I don't know if it's my favorite beer anymore because I've had some pretty good beers on this podcast, but it's still kind of like my go-to beer for when I just want to like drink and have a good time. My buddy Sam Adams.
What up, Sam?
Yeah.
How you doing today?
Local Cincinnati beer here too.
I didn't know Sam Adams was from Cincinnati. I thought Sam Adams was from Boston.
Yeah, well, I think it might be originally from Boston, but I think there's a brewery here in Cincinnati or something like that.
Oh, well, look at that.
Or maybe I'm talking
out of Cincinnati. Nope, I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure I heard something about that though. But
hey.
Sam Adams. Here's to you, Bengals, for finally making it exciting to be a Bengals fan in 2020. I mean, don't get me wrong, that Titans game was fun. The Jaguars game was fun. It's not like there haven't been a couple of fun games here and there, but this is the only game that I can really say that it has made it like really exciting to be a Bengals fan. Like, that Titans game, it's like, we played pretty well throughout the whole game. And when we did win, it really just kind of felt more like, hey, this is the way we should be playing. Same thing against the Jaguars. It's like, oh, we beat the Jaguars. Great. And it was fun to watch it, but it wasn't like, this big, like, oh my God, we just did that kind of thing. But this game against the Steelers was the kind of thing where I know you called it. I sort of called it. I picked against the Bengals because once I heard Ryan Finley was in, all of my optimism went out the window. But at the beginning of the year, I did predict that the Bengals were going to lose the first game against the Steelers and win the second one. Now, this was assuming Joe Burrow was in, and I actually ended up changing both of those picks by the time it came for us to make the predictions. However, I did originally have that pick, so I'm not going to claim clairvoyance here because obviously I ended up changing my picks. But the point being that nobody thought we had a chance. You did, but I think that might have also had something to do with the fact that, you really wanted the Bengals to win that game for the Browns' sake.
Yeah, I might have been a little drunk too. But yeah.
but point being, nobody realistically thought that we had a chance. I'm not even sure. I think the only people on the planet who really genuinely thought the Bengals were going to win that game was the guys in that locker room. And they probably just feel that way every week.
And me.
Even then, some of them didn't feel that way.
I did. I believed in y'all. I even tweeted at Ryan Finley. Ryan Finley, I tweeted at you, man. No, you see that, man.
I was going to, actually. I was going to pick the upset until I heard Ryan Finley was starting over Brandon Allen. I thought, in my head, I figured, Brandon Allen's got this team playing okay. They're not I still don't think they're the worst team in the NFL with Brandon Allen. But when Ryan Finley went in, I was like, we might be the worst team in the NFL. I don't know.
Well,
right now, the Steelers look like the worst team in the NFL. The Jets won this week, and the Steelers lost.
I'll give the Steelers this. The Steelers might not look like the worst team in the NFL, but they look like the worst team in the AFC North.
That they do. That they do. They also right now look like they have the worst future in the AFC North because they have no future at the quarterback position right now. Ben Roethlisberger might be done after this year, the way he's playing, the way people are criticizing him, the way he's kind of getting crapped all over, and the way he kind of doesn't sound confident in himself anymore. He might be done after this year. And who you got after that? Mason Rudolph ain't going to be there. Mason Rudolph ain't going to be the guy. Duck Hodges ain't going to be the guy. Like they're going to have to go get somebody in the draft, and they're higher. The best chance that they're going to have, like, they're definitely going to make the playoffs. So best case scenario for them, they're going to be picking 18 or something like that.
What if they get Sam Darnold?
Okay.
I'm just
saying.
Confident
is shot. I can't see. I can see Sam Darnold going and reviving his career in a couple of places, but I think Pittsburgh is a little too hardcore for him. I think all that's going to do is make his confidence. He'll be able to.
I think that this division will eat him up. This division is about to be get real tough. You need a really good quarterback in this division.
When the Bengals fix their pass rush, which is most likely coming this offseason because it's such an obvious glaring hole, when the Bengals fix their pass rush, every team in this division is going to have a top 5 pass rush. I mean, assuming the Bengals are that good, but projecting here, if the Bengals manage to really fix their defensive line and turn it into a good unit, every team in this division is going to have a top 5 pass rush.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when you that Ben Roethlisberger do not look good at all.
No.
There's issues with what was it? He had a was it neck injury or shoulder? It was a shoulder injury, right? Wasn't that the surgery he had?
It was something to do with his elbow, and also he's got
it was elbow surgery. That's what it was. Yeah, and I remember I was at I went to both Brown Steelers games last year, but I went to the one in Pittsburgh. I was at the one in Pittsburgh. I remember talking to the people next to me. I'm like, "Hey man, y'all sure y'all want to go get a running back?" They're like, "No, not running back. Y'all sure y'all want to get a quarterback in this draft?" It's like, "No, why would we get a quarterback? We got Ben Roethlisberger." I'm like, "Because he just had elbow surgery and he's 38. You're a quarterback and you had elbow surgery at 38. I mean, not like he had elbow surgery at 25. And even if he had elbow surgery at 25, people are still going to be like, "Ooh, no, this guy just had an elbow surgery at 25." But he's 38. He had elbow surgery. That's tough, man. That's tough. That's tough because you're already an aging quarterback. And you already have to be when you're an aging quarterback, you have to be in perfect health.
Right. Look at Tom Brady. He's in basically perfect health, and even he struggles from time to time.
He does, and not only that, you're in a physical division. You're a more physical division than Tom Brady is. Tom Brady, you're more of a physical player than Tom Brady is. Yeah, it just doesn't. It just feels like as the season goes on, Ben Roethlisberger is going to get worse and worse because he's getting older. And I know a lot of teams that go into the playoffs, they're going to playoffs that struggle. There's been times where teams went to the playoffs and struggle, and they won championships, right? But the difference between those teams and the Steelers team is the Steelers, they're an aging team. They're aging. So which means the only thing that's young about the Steelers are the receiver corps. They don't what do they got that scares you? Honestly, what do they have that scares you besides the receivers? They have 3 really good receivers, right? Where you have a lot of good receivers. You got James Washington, you got that Clay Claypool kid and Juju Smith-Schuster who got to stop dancing on people's 50-yard line, right? But outside of that, you got an Asian quarterback who's having struggle throwing the ball downfield. You will have James Conner, who, in my opinion, is the 4th running back in the division, 5th best running back in the division. Personally, I take. He's not better than Joe Mixon. If both of them are healthy, I'd take Joe Mixon over him, honestly, over James Conner. Yeah, I would. He's not better than what's his name? Ingram. Would you take Ingram? Would you take James Conner over Ingram from Baltimore?
Right now, I think I'd take J.K. Dobbins over Ingram.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. I think J.K. Dobbins over James Conner.
Yeah, and James Conner might be the 6th best running back in the division.
And he's not better than Kareem Hunt. He's not better than Nick Chubb. So
he may not be better than y'all's 3rd string running back, to be honest.
So what do they have that scares you? All right, you got a good defensive line. Yeah, but so do us.
Actually, on that note, he also might not be better than Giovanni Bernard. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That might make him like the 7th best running back in the division. He's starting for the Steelers, man. They couldn't get. They haven't been able to get anything done on the run this year.
Oh no,
and I forget what the exact numbers were. But like I mean, our defense surprisingly, like I said, they always get off to a hot start, but they managed to like reel it back in after kind of starting to kind of fall off in the third quarter. But they held the Steelers' whole running game to 86 yards. By the way, Giovanni Bernard had 83 yards by himself.
Yeah. He balled. He was balling last night. He played a great game.
That plus a rushing touchdown and plus a 14-yard touchdown reception. So I mean, like Giovanni Bernard essentially was our offense. He was like 14 of our 27 points were purely because Giovanni Bernard got the ball in his hands.
Wait, hold on. We cannot go without mentioning my boy Ryan Finley and that 35-yard touchdown.
I have things to say about Ryan Finley. I was going to save it till the end, but since you bring it up, well, not save it till the end. I was going to save it till the end of the segment. But since you bring it up, look, the reason I changed my mind about the Bengals winning this game and ended up getting the prediction wrong was because Ryan Finley's starting. And I don't know if there's a quarterback in the NFL I trust less than Ryan Finley. And I gotta say, I wasn't that far off. All right, look. I mean, Ryan Finley did better than he normally does at kind of reading the team, kind of reading the situation. He ran the ball pretty well. Basically, everything that didn't actually involve throwing the ball, he was pretty decent at. But God, that man's throwing motion looks like my wife's.
Like, he had some big throws today. He had some big throws yesterday.
He didn't. No, he didn't. He had that. He had a 30-yard pass to AJ Green, which was fine, and it got where it needed to go. But that might have been the ugliest 30-yard pass I've ever seen in my life. That thing was wobbling in the air, and he threw like yeah, it was an awful looking. What is that? Okay, we need to stop doing that. He had 101 quarterback rating because he didn't make any mistakes, which I'll give him credit for that. He didn't screw anything up, which is great. Yeah. They only let him throw 13 times, so that's part of the reason why he only had 89 yards. But also don't forget that the 30-yard pass to AJ Green accounted for 30 of the nearly 90-yard, nearly a third of all the receiving yards that Ryan Finley threw this week. Like I understand. He did what he needed to do when he needed to do it, but he did not look good doing it.
First of all, shout out to Zach Taylor. I gotta give credit. I've been hard on him. Shout out to Zach Taylor. He drew up a hell of a game plan. One thing that there was a couple of throws. Well, what I seen from Ryan Finley is that like he would put himself in a position to make a good throw, or he will make the right decision. And there's two throws I'm thinking about in my head. There, the throws in the third quarter where he eluded the pressure and then he went for the rollout, and then he had a man open downfield and he short threw it and it bounced right in front of him. I might know what pass I'm talking about. In the other pass, he stepped in the pocket, and then if he just threw, like say, you put some air on that ball, that's a deep route.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't.
But his short passes, his 5-6 yard passes, they were on point, man. He threw that nice little pass to Giovanni Bernard to get a touchdown, and then you cannot ignore that running touchdown to ice the game. He did what he needed to do.
You absolutely can't. From like I said, everything he did that didn't involve actually throwing the ball was very good. He had a very solid game, and I got to give him credit for that. But from just the perspective of throwing the damn ball, like Giovanni Bernard did all the work on that touchdown catch. Yeah. Like Ryan Finley got it to him, and credit to that. And Ryan Finley was making good decisions, which is that's better than he's done before. He only took 2 sacks, but he has the weakest arm I have ever seen in my life, and like if Brandon Allen isn't good to go next week, I guess whatever. I'm fine with Ryan Finley. He did all right given the game.
It don't matter.
I'm never going to be excited about Ryan Finley until Ryan Finley gives me a reason to be excited about him.
Well, it don't matter though. No, it don't matter what you guys do for the rest of the season. You guys are gonna end up getting the number 3 pick overall. So
Well, no, that's not true. We if we win,
went out.
No, if we win one more game, it's like we've lost our cushion now. Now, I mean, we still have the number 3 seed, but if we beat the Texans next week, or if we lose the Texans but we beat the Ravens, then we drop down to like the number 5 or 6 pick, I think. And then if we
but you're getting a penny stool no matter
down
what.
to number 8.
I think y'all getting a penny stool no matter what. I think I think y'all locked for penny stool. Let me see. Okay, so let's see. The Jets are 1-13. The Jaguars are 1-13. Y'all 3-10. And then the next team, the Texans, are 4 wins, right? I think y'all lose the tiebreaker with the Texans, right? Because Texans beat y'all, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so y'all not worry about them. The Eagle, did y'all not? I thought y'all lost to the Texans.
No, we play them next week.
Oh, okay. So just lose to the Texans, y'all good. Because the Eagles, are.
We'll be fine if we lose to the Texans, but I mean, we played pretty.
Yeah,
well.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure y'all should be fine as long as y'all lose to the Texans.
So to be honest, we played fine all year. Like, I mean, we really shouldn't lose to the Texans. The Bengals are a better, as bad as the Bengals have been at actually winning games this year, they might be one of the most underrated teams in the NFL because
I've been saying that all year.
Everybody pretty well except the Steelers and the Ravens.
I've been saying that, but Mr. Pessimist over here, man, just knocking me down. I'm like, hey, man, you guys only a few pieces here and there away. You're like, no, man.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Go back to our last podcast. Go back to our last episode. I said they're only 1 or 2 pieces away from making the playoffs.
Okay,
That's literally what I said.
I was a little depressed in the last episode. It's been a rough season, but for the most part, I've been agreeing with you.
What that last episode? What did I say? I said
we don't even talk about the last episode.
We can talk all about the last episode because the last episode made me look like a genius. I almost a genius twice because I almost predicted the Jets to win. I should have.
By the way, I wanted to address you mentioned we'll have Penny Sewell potentially locked up. But I actually had a thought about that. If we do end up with a number 3 seed, I actually ran a couple draft simulations on the Draft Network, with trades, and if we play our cards right, I actually ended up with 15 total draft picks, 3 of which were first rounders, by the way. I ended up with Kwity Paye out of Michigan, Kyle Pitts out of Florida, and Samuel Cosme out of Texas, with my 3 first-round picks that I got from the Bengals just by trading the number 3 pick and a couple other trades up and trades down that I did. So, I mean, I don't know. I would take that over Penny Sewell because, I'm sure Penny Sewell's going to be fine, but we need, I don't know. We have talent on this team, but we have no depth. This team cannot compete if we have injuries. And that's one of the biggest reasons why we only have 2 wins this year, 3 wins now, is because, really the Steelers game is about the only game that we've actually been able to win because our depth showed up. Our depth stepped up. Outside of that, it's been awful.
Trading down is not necessarily a bad thing to do.
No, I was completely against it last year, but I think this year it's I think Penny Sewell's great, but I mean, if somebody offers us a king's ransom, essentially what I got on this mock, then I absolutely think that you got to at least consider it because, the impact you're going to get from one tackle is not the same impact that you're going to get from Joe Burrow.
But I think y'all would have got, man. I think y'all would have benefited more from trading down. Y'all was the number 2 pick. If y'all was the number 2 pick, y'all would have been fine. Y'all been. I'm trade down for sure because the 2 quarterbacks on top of the draft, right? Well, if you would trade up for quarterbacks.
It's also worth noting though in this mock, the Jets ended up drafting a wide receiver, so that probably helped.
Yeah. So I mean, that's not happening. Maybe they are that stupid.
You never know. They might actually now because they're not going to get Trevor Lawrence. The whole thing that's been
Justin Fields not good.
Huh?
Justin Fields. I don't think Justin Fields is that good.
Well, I don't think Justin Fields is that good either. But the whole talking point about the Jets moving on from Sam Darnold has mostly revolved around the fact that it seemed like Trevor Lawrence was an inevitability. So I'm starting to think, do they move on from Sam Darnold now that they got to go with a quarterback who's not like if they don't get Lawrence, then they're not getting somebody who's a sure thing. And Sam Darnold ain't that bad.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing too. Like, I mean, because Justin Fields did not look good. Man, I watched that game. I watched that Ohio State game. I'm saying that with all this Ohio State stuff around me. Thank you to my parents. Justin Fields did not look good, man. He played against some tough cornerbacks, and he struggled against good cornerbacks. If you can't at least look decent against good cornerbacks, he cannot throw that ball on Saturday, man. He looked horrible on Saturday.
Why don't you tell me what the last who was the last NFL quarterback who went to Ohio State who was any good?
I don't know. You tell me because I can't think of one.
I don't think there has been one. There's been.
I mean, Braxton Miller had Terrell Pryor had 1,000 receiver yards.
Yeah, Braxton Miller and Terrell Pryor were both halfway decent receivers, but like that's my point. You don't like OSU quarterbacks have gotten plenty of hype over the years, but they never pan out in the NFL. I mean, you got Dwayne Haskins, you got Cardale Jones, you got
Troy Smith. Well, I think Troy Smith got a fair chance though. Troy Smith never even got a chance actually. Like they're just like, oh no, he's too short. We never draft. Like I didn't get that. They didn't even give Troy Smith a chance.
He had a little bit of like a like a decent popping into popping onto the radar coming in for Joe Flacco for a little bit, but like outside of that he never really did anything.
But they never gave him. I don't think anybody ever gave him a chance to even do anything. But like I don't know.
I would still put him about on like the same level as Dwayne Haskins though. Like somebody who in a pinch if you have to put him in a quarterback then fine whatever.
I thought Dwayne Haskins might have broke that trend because Dwayne Haskins is like Ohio State quarterback who would actually throw. No, that play action. I mean, Terrell Pryor quarterback. Yeah, Terrell Pryor he could throw. He used to be able to throw until he got his shoulder all torn up. Got him injuries.
I suppose, but it doesn't change the fact that Ohio State quarterbacks, by a rule, just do not pan out in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying – I mean, like, I certainly think that Justin Fields has a lot of, talent and stuff. I think that there's definitely potential for him, probably more so than there has been for any other Ohio State quarterback. But I don't know. There's just – I can't explain it because, like, you can't say that, because this guy went to the school and they're automatically going to be bad. But there's some sort of mentality that seems to just be consistent among Ohio State quarterbacks that doesn't translate to the NFL.
It's a system, man. Ohio State got a system that caters to quarterbacks who are great at being running backs. This is why they got rid of Joe Burrow, man. Like, come on, man. Like, Joe Burrow didn't fit the system mode. Joe Burrow can throw the ball. Oh, we don't want a guy who can throw the ball on Ohio State. Give us J.D. Barrett.
Joe Burrow was excellent in high school, and then he was excellent at LSU. So it's just like how they couldn't find a way to use him at Ohio State's beyond me.
Man, they didn't have a quarterback better than Joe Burrow, man. I'm so mad at Ohio State for that, man. I had Joe Burrow on your bench. When you're from Ohio, you play for championships, man. You have that it factor, man. You have that it factor, man. These people, y'all are getting these players from freaking, I mean, here's my thing. Here's my philosophy about it. I'm not saying that you should only recruit in Ohio. But when you're Ohio State, the best players from Ohio should go to Ohio State. If you're letting the best players from Ohio, the best athletes from Ohio leave Ohio, letting the best running backs from Ohio leave Ohio and go to other schools like Alabama, Oklahoma, Michigan, and all these other top schools, and you're ignoring the top athletes from Ohio, first of all, you need to make sure you get the top athletes from Ohio, then recruit nationally. If you don't get the top athletes from Ohio, then what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? I mean, you got Denzel Ward. I love you, Denzel Ward. But what are you doing when you ignoring 5-star athletes from Ohio?
No. I don't give a shit if they're like, the Ohio team or whatever. Like, fuck that. You seize the Ohio team as far as I'm concerned.
See, I got legit reasons why I hate Ohio. Like, I mean, I don't hate Ohio State. Let me get this right. It's not that I hate them. It's just that I just can't root for them. I don't know. I'm not gonna do against them, but I'm not gonna root for them because I used to love Ohio State. Like this is my team, but like I didn't go there for one. I met people who went to Ohio State for two. If you ever met an Ohio State student and you didn't go to Ohio State, they're not pleasant people.
Yeah, I grew up with too many like diehard Ohio State fans, and I was not an Ohio State fan, so I didn't get along too well.
You're from Ohio. You don't root for Ohio State.
No, right. That was the thing. When I was a kid, I didn't hate Ohio State, but it was the people around me who were such Ohio State homers that made me hate Ohio State.
Oh my God, they are the worst.
I'm a Kentucky fan. I have no natural reason to have a beef with Ohio State, but it's Ohio State fans that did that to me.
They are the worst. I get.
No. Steelers fans are the worst. But Ohio State fans are the worst as far as college is considered.
The most annoying fan base in Cleveland is the Browns fans because the Browns fans are pretty obnoxious, including me. I'm very obnoxious. If you ever read my Twitter, I'm very obnoxious. But,
Speaking of the Browns, we need to move on because we're spending too much time on a college team, and this is an NFL podcast.
F the Buckeyes.
Yeah, agreed. So let's I will say one thing. One thing I'm really excited to say is let's talk about the far less interesting of the two games this week, and that is the Browns game. Which that might be the first time I've gotten to say that all year, that the Browns game was actually the less interesting of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. The thing is that, I found myself bored that game because it was the first time that I ever watched the Browns and they were a favorite in a game. And I was just like, hey, you're just confident about them. It's the first time the Browns were a favorite and you're just confident in the Browns. Like, they won that game and they just took care of business.
Yeah.
They just took care of business. And they went to work and they just went to work and took care of business. Everything. They just did everything correct.
They did what they were supposed to do. And that's one of the best things that they could have possibly done this season, because that means that y'all are here.
Yeah.
When y'all are winning the games that you're supposed to win and not really having too much trouble doing it, that's when you know that Cleveland is finally at the point where they're like a legit competitor. They're a legit contender. I mean, you guys pretty much shut down the Giants' whole offense. And it's not like the Giants have this great offense or anything like that, but just to completely shut any team in the NFL down like that is pretty impressive. And I know they got 6 points, but that only happened at the very beginning of the game and the very end of the game. Between that, it was a wasteland for the Giants.
I think the most interesting thing about this game is team. Because you got to go to Baker Mayfield, man. He has been looking really good. The last 4 games, just look at his stats the last 4 games. He's been playing like a top 10 quarterback. We went from, is he a franchise quarterback to now, is he a top 10 quarterback? And he 25 touchdowns to 8 interceptions this season. That's you want that that's what you want from your quarterback. That's what you want from your number overall pick. If you go what's your quarterback situation? Well, my quarterback has 25 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. You want that. Nobody's not going to sign up for that unless you have Patrick Mahomes. If you have Patrick Mahomes, you'll be like, that's mediocre for Patrick Mahomes standards. If you don't have 50 touchdowns, then he's not doing well.
Well, that's true, but Andy Dalton had stats like that from time to time, and plenty of people wanted to move on from Andy Dalton.
Yes, yeah, people, you can't please everybody. But look at what he did the last 3 games, though, right? He did this against the Baltimore Ravens, the Tennessee Titans, 2 playoff teams, and the Giants, New York Giants, who people have been raving about their defense the last couple of weeks because they say, hey, look what their defense did to the Seattle Seahawks. Look how their defense shut this team down. Look how this defense got them back into the first place of their division, which the Browns just knocked them out of first place again. You can't ignore the fact that Baker Mayfield is improving and he's just making great passes, and he's doing this in prime time. He's doing it in away games. He's doing it against good teams. He's doing it against bad teams. The consistency is there now. Kevin Stansky is the real hero here too, because Kevin Stansky, he's doing a great job of keeping his team mentally focused. Because if you ever play football in your life, you understand how much football is a mental game as much as a physical game. And one thing that Kevin Stansky does is that he's doing a great job of keeping the team in the moment. And no matter what, you cannot get anybody on this team to talk about the playoffs yet, unless they're saying that's our goal. But nobody on this team, like every time you say, "Hey, you guys probably gonna make playoffs," they're like, "No, let's focus on the Giants." "Hey, you're gonna make playoffs." "Hey, no, we still gotta beat the Jets." Like, they're not taking nobody for granted. They're not taking nothing for granted. They're not taking no second for granted. And that speaks volumes to how, like, Kevin Stansky, man, like I just can't believe. I'm in shock of how good of a coach this guy is. But I've never in my life seen a coach this good in my life. And I'm just well, in Cleveland, I should say that, not, I've seen Bill Belichick, obviously, but it's just amazing to see. It's a night or day difference to go from last year, where every single game I went to last year, Baker Mayfield and Freddie Kitchens were arguing on the sidelines every single drive. And I say this, and people look at me crazy when I say this. No, every single drive last year, at least once a drive, Baker Mayfield will go on the sidelines and he will have a talk with Freddie Kitchens. If you don't believe me, watch some video. There got to be video out there of that, because I've seen it in person. I went to 5 games last year. Every single game, I've seen that. This would be Baker Mayfield. He'd be like, "Okay, hut."
Right.
You freaking idiot! That's how Baker Mayfield was last year. This year we got an adult in the room, and I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm very excited.
What's actually fascinating is because of your win this week, and the way the games kind of fell. There is a scenario, depending on like if all of the teams currently in the playoff hunt win next week, there is a scenario, and also if all the teams currently in the playoff hunt win next week, there is a scenario where in week 17 it could potentially be either the Browns win the division. The Browns would basically be the Browns would basically be eliminated from the wild card race, because it would be either they win that game and win the division, or they lose that game and don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's so freaking crazy,
right?
Man, that'd be unfair.
That would be unfair, but like, being completely honest with you, I don't see it playing out that way.
That's a real
possibility that could really exist.
That's why everybody in Cleveland are like, that's why I'm not like getting too ahead of myself. So let's win this. Let's beat the Jets. Let's hope the Dolphins lose on Saturday.
Yeah.
So the Browns could just go ahead and just make the playoffs. If the Dolphins, in my perfect world, the Dolphins will lose. But I don't think the Dolphins are going to beat the. Don't the Dolphins play the Bills coming up too? They play the Raiders.
They play the Bills in week 17, but they play the Raiders next week.
Okay, cool.
And the Ravens play the Giants. So
that's not a gimme game. They play the Raiders. They play at the Raiders. Yeah, so the Raiders might win that game to just try and just keep it like respectable. They're going to be fighting for their lives. So I think the Raiders I can see the Raiders pulling that game off.
Well, I could be wrong, but I think the Raiders might be eliminated from playoff contention if they lose.
I think they are too. If I'm not mistaken too. I think they are.
They might currently be.
I think they might technically still be in it, but I don't think because I think like they got to have the Dolphins got to lose. They got to have like 3 teams lose out. They got Dolphins lose out. They're pretty much. Yeah, they got to have the Dolphins, the Ravens. They have to have the Dolphins and the Ravens lose out. Yeah, if the Dolphins and the Ravens lose out,
Well, would they? Because like I know the Raiders would have the tiebreaker over the Dolphins, but would they have the tiebreaker over the Ravens?
I'm not sure. I think it's possible. I think like 8 things have to happen.
Because
But like, it's I mean, like, so technically they're not. Yeah. It's just that their chances to make the playoffs are like 2%.
So my thought process on Baker Mayfield is actually kind of a little bit different than yours, because like I don't know if I think that Baker Mayfield really lit the world on fire.
Oh no, he did. He just did his job.
He played efficiently and he played mistake-free football. And he ended up with a quarterback rating of 126.2, despite the fact that his other stats weren't really all that eye-popping. But I mean, honestly, it was kind of like a really, really good version of Ryan Finley. That's essentially what we saw out of Baker Mayfield.
I think what you got to do is I'm looking at his last 3-4 games.
Well, okay, that's fair.
Like, I'm looking at what he did the last 4 games. Like, just look at what he did the last 4 games. Like, his numbers the last 4 games. Like, if you look at this game alone, you're just like, all right, cool. But if you look at his last 4 games, he had 258 yards and 2 touchdowns with a 116 rating against the Jaguars. He then had 334 yards and 4 touchdowns against the Titans. He had 343 yards against the Ravens, 2 touchdowns, and then he had 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. And each one of those games, he had a quarterback rating 80 or above, 87 or above. The lowest rating was against the Ravens, probably because of that pick. But every other game, he had a 100 quarterback rating or better. So, completion percentage each one of those games are above 60%.
It also helps when you have a running game. It also helps when you have a running game that puts up at least 100 yards every single game. Now, I know it wasn't like particularly amazing this week, but it was still totaling 106 yards.
Yeah, I mean, he still had an 84% completion percentage. Like can't get mad about completing 84% of your passes. He's doing his job. Like you said, he's doing his job. So I appreciate.
Let's go ahead and move on to our next segment, which is our underrated player of the week. Who would you say out of all the Browns players doesn't get enough credit for the way that they played this week?
I'm not sure if this is going to be underrated or not, but I gotta give a shout out to Nick Harris. The reason why I'm picking him is because he haven't gotten credit all year. Nick Harris was the 2nd round draft pick of the Browns. He is a offensive lineman. Wyatt Teller is out with an injury. He's week to week. And then, so our backup is Chris Hubbard. The Browns have a lot of depth off the line. A lot of teams can't say. Look at the Bengals. Nick Harris is a 2nd round pick. Came in as a rookie and did a phenomenal job of protecting Baker Mayfield and keeping our offensive line stable as a rookie. It's just crazy that we got 2 good offensive linemen in one draft, and we don't need one of them because the offensive line depth is so deep. But we might need him later in the season. We might need him for the rest of the season because it might give Wyatt Teller time to heal up before the postseason, who is currently the best offensive lineman in the league. Like, that dude's a beast. So Nick Harris, shout out to you. Great job filling in for injured Chris Hubbard. Chris Hubbard, get well soon, sir. Sorry about your injury, man. Seriously, that sucks. Get well soon. Nick Harris, man, dude. You were in good hands with Nick Harris. I appreciate you. So good luck, man.
All right. So for me, I might surprise you with my pick on this one, Thomas.
Okay.
So my underrated player of the week. My underrated player of the week. My underrated player of the week is going to be Ryan Finley.
Okay.
I gave him a lot of shit in the opening segment.
Yeah, you did.
Deservedly so, I will say. He definitely Ryan. Like I said, Ryan Finley would be a great quarterback. Let me rephrase that. Ryan Finley would be a serviceable quarterback if he didn't have to throw the ball. But he's the whole throwing the ball part of playing quarterback. He's well, you know what? I don't want to criticize him too much because I'm calling him underrated, and part of him being underrated is my fault because I'm tearing him apart. But man, honestly, he got the job done.
Yeah, he did.
It wasn't pretty. It was ugly in a lot of situations, and at the end of the day, what I saw on film was like, I don't understand how he was like playing as efficiently as he was playing. I mean, what was it? He only completed like 7 passes, right? He also only attempted 13.
Yeah.
And I think there was a reason why they only attempted 13. There's a reason they only attempted 13 passes, and it was because Zach Taylor knows that, trusting Ryan Finley to throw the ball all game is not going to work out so well. So he only completed 7 passes for 89 yards, and he didn't get a touchdown, but it was on the ground. It was not in the air. But he also didn't throw any interceptions. He only took 2 sacks. So at the end of the day, Ryan Finley played good enough to lead a surging Bengals team to victory. I mean, he's not going to be carrying anybody to anything anytime soon, but he apparently can play well enough that he's not going to hurt anybody's chances of winning. That's pretty good for a third string quarterback, I guess. So I guess he has graduated from the distinction of not being an NFL quarterback to now he clearly deserves to play in the NFL. I just, like maybe occasionally, like once every other year or something like that.
Come on, man. He did that for his birthday.
You know what? I'm glad he found the motivation to play well enough to help his team to a victory. And in his defense, I mean, he ended up with a 70.1 passing grade from PFF. He actually graded out better as a passer than a runner. I felt that he was at his best when he was doing RPOs and he was making decisions about, whether to throw or whether to try to, bust out for a run or whether to try to do whatever. And he did a pretty good job of throwing the ball away when he had to. Although there were also some times when it looked like he was trying to make a pass and it just went nowhere near anybody. And it was just, there were some really bad passes, and even the good ones didn't look good. Like I said earlier, there was that 30-yard pass to AJ Green, but even that pass was like, it was super wobbly. It was off target. AJ Green had to go up and get it. It was like, it was not a good pass, but he played well enough to utilize the talent around him and let the talent around him carry him to a win. So I will give him credit because, like, the way he played and the stats he put up, he's not going to get a lot of credit. And he's definitely, obviously, not getting credit from me because I was very critical of him earlier. But
yeah, you were.
But because of that, I feel he's underrated because he did do enough to get the victory and he didn't make any major mistakes. So that is definitely something that you can't discount.
Yeah, no, I first of all, like, I want to go back to the birthday theory. Shaquille O'Neal played on his birthday. Shaquille O'Neal would, like, every single time Shaquille O'Neal played on his birthday, he was about 40 points. I don't know what it is about people when they play on their birthday. But when you play on your birthday, there's something magical that happens. You get your superpowers. So maybe Ryan Finley, he also has a black in him because he got his superpowers on Monday.
Maybe we should only play Ryan Finley once a year, and that's on his birthday.
Look, I got my superpowers yesterday. My superpowers were making crazy ass predictions. I made a crazy ass prediction.
Well, we'll talk about that in the predictions video. But yes, you did call this game. I'll give you credit.
I did call it.
You did call it, and I'm a little questioning about your reasoning for calling it. But at the end of the day, you did call it, and you made your bet, and it paid off.
We've seen the video.
I actually sort of I had a little bit. I didn't go through with it. I chickened out, and also I probably wasn't going to do it anyway because I'm not really much of a gambling person. But I did kind of have the thought of, like, what if I put like $50 on this game? Just like $50. I mean, like, I can probably afford to just put $50 on just for the sake of having.
You would have made $500.
No, I would have made $1,000.
Oh God! Why do you do it? Why do you listen to your boy? Why do you listen to your boy? We talk about this in the prediction episode. We say prediction episode.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, that was those were our underrated players of the week, and as much crap as I gave Ryan Finley earlier, he did get the win. So I also wanted to talk about the good things that he did, which was mostly nothing involving actually throwing the football, but it was still a pretty good day. Decent.
It was a great day. I had so much fun watching that game yesterday.
Oh my God! As far as watching it goes, that was an amazing game, man. Like I was
with the Muppets.
You can see me actually. We Thomas went live on Instagram and I joined them. And if you guys go on our channel, you can see it's actually up now, the live video of our reactions to the game on Instagram. And you can see me, I'm struggling because I want to go nuts, man. I want to start jumping on the couch and like going crazy. But I'm in a house where like, my wife and my fucking, he's 6 now. He just had his birthday. So my wife and my 6-year-old are both asleep and I don't want to wake them up. But I'm oh my God, I'm seeing this game and I want to go crazy and start like flipping off the TV and be like, fuck you, Steelers. Oh man, it was just it was torture. It was great. It was amazing football to watch, but it was torture.
No, you had the most mellow but crisp reaction. I'm in the background going like, yeah,
I know. I wanted to be right there with you.
You're like, man, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I know. I so badly wanted to be right there with you.
It was so crisp, though. It was so crisp. That's why I ended that video. That's why I ended that little promo video with that, because it was just so crisp. Because like it just followed the theme of it. It was just so crisp. Like, damn, I cannot believe it. You just sound shocked. Like you might not be loud. You don't got to be loud to have emotion. You showed a lot of emotion. You were like, I can't believe it. It was hilarious. I loved it. I loved it.
I so badly wanted to react, but let's see what happens on if the Bengals play on Sunday Night Football and have a similar game like that. Then I won't have Murphy here with me, and I'll be able to like jump up and down and go nuts and shit. Or if we have a really good game at 1 p.m. or something like that. It's just, unfortunately, people were asleep at the house, and I had to be respectful of that. But it was still an amazing game to watch, and I've been getting so excited listening to other Bengals podcasts today, and just like absorbing the win. It's been fantastic. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our last segment of the podcast, which is the state of the AFC North. And real quick, obviously we can go over the Steelers. With this loss, they are now officially out of the running. The Kansas City clinched the number 1 overall seed. So the playoff bye is no longer in play for the Steelers. It is it is clinched for the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay. And the Steelers are not going to be getting a playoff bye this year. And also, it keeps the Browns in contention for the AFC North Championship. Yep. Which, if the Steelers lose to the Colts, and then the Browns beat the Jets, which, if you guys don't beat the Jets, the Jets won this week. The Jets are not, completely hopeless, but at the same time,
that was the best thing that ever happened to the Browns. The Jets winning this week was the best thing that ever happened. First of all,
you're not so worried about next week.
The Browns, I'm sorry, the Steelers, they got the Steelers lost their home field advantage, because that's hilarious. But even bigger, I'm happy the Jets won, because I said in the last podcast that it's really hard to go 0-16 in the NFL, no matter how bad you are. I know 2 teams have done it, the Browns and the Lions, but it's so hard to go 0-16. I'm just putting in perspective. The Browns season before the 0-16 season, almost went 0-16. Before that season, they went 1-15, wasn't for RG3 and a field goal block, which is just crazy to think about. The Jets, these are NFL players. They have a lot of pride. Nobody on that team, nobody in that locker room want to be a part of a 0-16 team. Sam Darnold don't want to be an 0-16 quarterback. You get down on your resume, it stays on your resume for the rest of your life. You're going to be known as the quarterback who quarterbacked the team during an 0-16 season. You have way too much pride for that. They're going to get a win. They're going to get a win eventually, and they got it. And now their effort level is going to go down next week when they play against the Browns, because they're like, yeah, we got our win. And now we're like, we got for Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, they're not winning next week.
I don't know if I agree about that, their effort level, because you got to think about a lot of those Jets players, they're fighting to prove that they deserve to have jobs next year. So they don't give a shit about some, some young kid, like, oh, this Trevor Lawrence guy, he sounds great. Well, that's fantastic. Yep. But like, if I'm not here to enjoy it, what does it matter? So
yeah, I agree.
I don't know if I think that the effort level is going to go down, but I think you're right. The pressure to not go 0-16, at least that's off. But the point about as it relates to the Steelers, though, the Steelers obviously are struggling right now. They've got a good team in the Indianapolis Colts next week. And the way that the Steelers are playing right now, especially with that run game, especially with that Indianapolis defense, it's gonna like I'm actually struggling to think of a way that Pittsburgh actually pulls off this win next week. And then it comes down to week 17 with the Browns and the Steelers, and if the Steelers lose that game too, they drop all the way down from what was the number 1 seed a couple of weeks ago to the number 6 seed, which up until this year was the very last playoff seed that was available. Now there's the number 7 seed.
Yeah.
So that is absolutely fascinating to me. I don't know if it's going to happen, but like I said, it's kind of hard for me. It's hard to see a path to victory for the Steelers against the Colts next week, unless they just somehow get completely out of their own asses. But that's going to require Ben Roethlisberger going back to the old Ben Roethlisberger, which I don't know if he has that left in him.
He's getting worse every week, man. He's getting worse every week because the reality is that. And he's playing the Colts on another short week. That's big.
That's the other thing, right?
They're not young. They're not young. They're not young at all. So now you get another short week after having short week after short week. That Colt, you know what did to man? That whole thing with the that whole Thursday night thing to Wednesday night thing with the Ravens, that seemed to put them back because now you got teams. When that happened, now you got teams. They're when you're an old team and you have to play 3 games in 14 days. They had to play, wasn't it something like crazy like that? 3 games in 14 days, or 3 games in 17 days, or something crazy like that. Right. That's hard for a young team. For a team that's aging at every single position but receiver, that's gonna wear on you. And now even the receivers like Juju Smith-Schuster, he doesn't look like he's having a season that he was destined to have. He's not really having that great. The last couple games, he hasn't really been that good. Ben Roethlisberger can't throw the ball more than 20 yards. I mean, he had that one good touchdown throw. But other than that, all his deep throws have been trash. It just doesn't look good for the Steelers.
I will say it isn't too far off. I know they've looked a little different since they had their schedule thrown out of whack by the Ravens, but at the same time, they're not playing that much different than they have all season. The main difference is they're instead of winning these games that come down to the wire, they're losing these games that come down to the wire.
Yeah,
and it's the actual difference in what's going on is very minimal. It's they weren't blowing teams out before, except for again the Bengals and the Browns. But again,
I just have no faith in. I have no faith in Ben Roethlisberger's throwing ability right now.
I really don't right now. He's going to have to.
He does not look. He looks. Oh, it's like Max Kellerman. He's been talking about that cliff that Tom Brady's going to fall off of. Oh, Ben Roethlisberger must have found it.
Ben Roethlisberger found Tom Brady.
They're both driving down the same highway. Tom Brady's like, oh, I gotta turn right real quick. I gotta turn right. Well, where you going? Like, I'm turning right. Like, the GPS tells me to turn left. So I'm turning left.
The main difference being that Tom Brady, as we mentioned earlier, is elite at taking care of his body.
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger looks like my fat uncle. The Ravens beat the Jaguars, which is great for them and all, but the Dolphins won. So the Ravens are still out on the outside looking in as far as the playoff race is considered.
Yep.
In fact, they cannot make the playoffs unless the Dolphins lose. And the Dolphins have the Raiders coming up, which it's I'm not sure if the Raiders are eliminated from playoff contention yet or not. I don't think they are. But if they're not, then the Raiders might be fighting hard to get back in. But I don't know. I think the Dolphins right now, the Dolphins look like the much better team than the Raiders. So And then they play the Bills, but the Bills already clinched their division.
Yeah, they might rest their players.
They don't have a bye to fight for, so I'm thinking the Bills might rest their starters in Week 17.
Yeah,
maybe I'm not sure, but I mean partially because of the really physically demanding style of quarterback that Josh Allen plays. I'm thinking maybe they might rest their starters for that Week 17 game. So it's kind of hard to see, which is insane because this is a Ravens team that everybody was talking about as Super Bowl contenders last year, and right now they might not even make the playoffs.
I mean, they might lose Sunday.
There's a pretty good chance they might not make the playoffs. Like
they might lose Sunday.
Who do they play Sunday? They play the Giants, don't they? They're not. Yep. I don't think they're going to lose the Giants. The Giants have been all right here and there, but I don't think the Giants are really anything special. I mean, they didn't look like nothing against you guys. Now the Browns are a good team.
The difference is we got different styles of scoring. We got different ways of scoring.
It's true.
The thing is though about the Ravens is never mind. We'll save that for the next episode.
Yes. Fair enough. Speaking of that, I think that's probably good enough for this episode. So thank you for listening, everybody.
I'm about to get 2 big upsets in 1 week.
Oh man, it's exciting. I got another big coming on and listening to the podcast, listening to us babble about sports. It's really fun for both of us. We really enjoy doing it, whether anybody's listening or not. But the fact that people are listening, even 3 or 4 people, that's
all 5 of y'all.
Exactly. Even that's just exceptional for us. So if you want to follow like the rest of our sports commentary and stuff like that, or pretty much anything else that we talk about, you can find me on Twitter at Kyle Phelps 92 and on Facebook at facebook.com/ThePhelps. You can find Thomas at T_star94 on Twitter and Instagram, and on YouTube he's got a channel called Blowdown Page.
Yes, it is.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and I will leave you with the absolute biggest hooday of the year.
Go Browns and go Cavs.
Yeah.
Season starts tomorrow. Go Cavs. Love my basketball. Yeah. Go Browns too.
All right.